I'd like to now welcome to the dais the president of the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion, Steve Spreitzer.
So I'm humbled to stand before you as we continue to mourn the senseless and tragic loss of innocent life in Pittsburgh and throughout the country. As a white, male, temporary able-bodied, heterosexual who spent most of my life as a Christian, I've not experienced any hate because of my identity. In fact, I was in part raised to be a bigot, but have been spared by relationships that have called me to stand with those who are at risk of harm because of their identities. My life challenge now is to peel away the layers of ignorance of my tremendous privilege and my complicity with the structures that perpetrate harm to people of color and others. So the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion began in Detroit in 1941 with the leadership of Rabbi Leo Franklin and Methodist pastor Harry Hitt Crane, with support from many in the Jewish community. We were part of the National Conference for Christians and Jews, which began in New York in 1927, as Catholic immigrants from Europe were among the many who experienced unprecedented hate during the peak of nativism and the Ku Klux Klan. Our charge was, and continues to be, to fight bias, bigotry, and racism. The hatred we addressed in 1927, 1941, is the same hatred which led to the death of the 11 members of Tree of Life. This hatred is deep-seated, having been formed over the past 2,000 years. Many of you are no strangers to this hatred, which unfortunately has been summoned from the shadows, claiming numerous victims these past couple years. While this is a time of mourning, part of that process is understanding evil that we face together as we seek to repair this broken world and try to keep our neighbors safe. There is some research which suggests about 15% of the population are relationally challenged. They don't like anyone who doesn't look like them or worship like them. Many of these folks dwell among us, appearing to be politically correct, and the most damage they do is an occasional microaggression. Sadly, a subset of this group have more complicated histories and mental health challenges and are more likely to perpetrate violence at any time. This reality leaves us thankful for our neighbors who serve in law enforcement and the mental health professions. One thing we know about bullies, though, is they're for the most part cowardly, and they're unlikely to engage if there are more allies than bystanders. They can do the math. The challenge is far too many people are indifferent, ignorant about the hate that many face, and isolated from harm. That's the work, to move people from bystanders to allies as we stand against evil. For many like me, the path to allyship is forged in relationships, where our hearts meet the other, and the spider-like substance of the Creator holds us together. As this connection is made, many of us are driven by the complement of difference, moving deeper toward the other until the other becomes like family. Beyond our tears lies a new resolve to move forward, becoming, as Henri Nouwen says, becoming wounded healers, answering the call to repair the world. We're not powerless in the face of evil. Many of us have seen the power of collective action. I believe we need to build upon some of our programs that we're able to participate in. Programs like Religious Diversity Journeys for 7th graders that was developed some 20 years ago by the Jewish Community Council and then NCCJ, developed by Gail Katz, sitting in our congregation, and now staffed by the Interfaith Leadership Council in Metro Detroit. Gail has also helped shape programs like Wisdom and the World Sabbath for Religious Reconciliation. Gail, thank you for your service. And Bob, for all those nights he's not been home. Other programs like Hate to Hope and the Children of Abraham Project, formed by Brenda Rosenberg, and Mitzvah Days. These are all good programs, but they're just not enough. we leave here tonight trying to imagine what might we do to help push evil back into the shadows. I have a comment made by Dr. Martin Luther King. He said, "I mourn the loss of thousands of precious lives, but I will not rejoice in the death of one, not even an enemy. Returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So I want to just offer the words of a dear friend of mine's daughter, Nancy Combs. Many of you know her. She's on the leadership of the Innovate Leadership Council. Her daughter, Susanna Cobbs Goodman, was unable to attend the prayer vigil last night because she was representing Detroit Jews for Justice at an important citywide organizing meeting for housing justice. "Mom," she said, "the work of Tikkun Olam must continue."